Pledge. Welcome everyone to the December committee, the whole meeting for the Community High School District 94 Board of Education. Mission statement, please.
Community High School will ignite a passion for learning, foster leadership and responsibility, and empower all learners to live their personal best.
Thank you, Rich. Board agreements, please.
Communicating with the media. The board president or designee is the spokesperson for the board to the media. The superintendent or designee is the spokesperson for the district to the media.
Thank you, Lynn. Roll call, please.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Ms. Casey Mayer?
Here.
Mr. Nagel?
Present.
Ms. Doremus?
Kathy?
Present via phone due to family emergency.
Ms. Chavez?
Here.
Ms. Murphy?
Present.
All right, that brings us to public participation. This is the portion of our meeting where any member of the public may address the Board of Education on any topic. We welcome your comments and will carefully listen to your concerns. We will not be able to engage in a dialogue during public participation, but when appropriate, we will direct the administration to follow up. Presentations are limited to no more than 5 minutes per person, with a total time limit of 30 minutes for public participation. If you are making public comment, please speak slowly so the translator is able to keep up with you. If you wish to make personal charges or complaints against individual employees, volunteers, or students of the district, we request that you send the board your concerns in writing rather than stating those concerns during public comment. If anyone currently present wishes to make public comment and hasn't already done so, please fill out one of the comment forms in the back of the room and hand it to someone seated at the table. At this point, we received no comment forms and no online comment has been submitted. So that brings us to reports and information. Behavior intervention policy, first reading.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Megan Payleitner. I'm the Director of Specialized Services. Thank you for having me here. So the purpose of what I'm doing here with you guys with our new policies and procedures is a draft policy that was made with our legal counsel with the help and guidance of ISB, and in relation to our behavioral procedures on the use of behavioral interventions with students with disabilities who require behavioral intervention. A lot of behavior words. To give some context to these procedures, the Illinois School Code does require districts to have written procedures for behavioral interventions for students with disabilities. While we do have current policies, there has been recent ISB guidance on updating our procedures. These procedures ensure safety, legal compliance, and effective support for students who require behavioral interventions. The draft copy that you see in front of you has been presented and reviewed by a committee comprised of parents, advocates of students with disabilities, other parents, teachers, administrators, and individuals with knowledge or expertise regarding behavioral interventions for persons with disabilities. The key elements of the updated procedures are as follows. First, the types of interventions used with the students are clearly classified into 4 different categories: positive behavioral supports and interventions, reactive, non-restrictive interventions, restrictive interventions, and prohibited interventions. These have all been updated with evidence-based practices and clearly outlined for our staff. The second and third key elements are specific legally compliant criteria for determining when a student may require a behavioral intervention plan and the procedures for monitoring the use of restrictive behavioral interventions. Of course, with parents being a key team member of the IEP team, all interventions must be documented, monitored, and reported to parents. The next key element is ensuring our staff be trained in these approved behavioral interventions yearly, and any professional development needed is provided to them. Lastly, there's a specific timeline of when these procedures are informed to students and parents that the district will adhere to. In summary, our updated procedures ensure student safety, dignity, and informed parents, compliance with Illinois law and IDEA, and staff clarity and accountability. The ongoing monitor ensures our interventions are effective, positive, and individualized for each student to maximize their time with us here at D94 and prepare them for their next chapter after they leave us. Thank you so much for looking through them.
Any questions or comments on that policy?
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
They list, let me find this. Under prohibitive interventions, isn't the supine
Yep.
restraint under that? Okay.
Yes, yep.
And then, but then down later on in this, they discuss it, like if it happens twice in a 30-day period. Yeah,
Correct.
the supine physical restraint. But if it's prohibitive, then I guess I'm confused as to why there's a whole thing here as if it's happening.
So it's technically a restrictive intervention that our staff have to be CPI trained in order to do those positions. Anything under those prohibited are ones that we will never participate in at all because they are prohibited then. When we do use the physical hold, we do have to report that to ISB, and it is monitored very closely with follow-up with guidance from them as to how we can stop doing that and do other procedures. So that is a last resort that we have to be trained in which the appropriate people are, but we will not engage in that if at all possible.
Okay. Yeah, it does.
I
It
know.
makes it sound like it's an accepted
Sure.
form
Yeah,
of behavior modification.
yeah. We don't want to go hands-on at all with students. That is not something that we would want to do in a public high school. And so for that reason, we have all these other interventions that would take place before we get to that.
So that would be allowed only as a last resort.
Last resort, very last resort. In the last 3 years, we've never done a hold or a hands-on with any of our students.
Last resort, but also by somebody trained to do
Correct.
that.
Correct.
So if you're on one.
Mm-hmm.
Get the trained person, what do you do in between?
We do have a number of staff trained, so it's teachers, it's administrators, and then we do have protocols in place for when that happens, whoever's closest, they do a CPI team call on the radios, and then whoever gets there, we get there first, and we would intervene then. But again, that would be a very last resort. The team does have protocols set in place to kind of intervene in those behaviors before it would ever get to that. We would never want to go hands-on with our students here in the high school if we don't have to.
So you can see where it's kind of confusing,
Yes.
though, where it says
Yeah.
it's prohibited, and then you talk about, and you've got people trained in that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that should be clarified in here, then,
We
maybe?
can.
Yeah.
This was
Since it's a
straight from the
draft,
ISB
yeah.
guidance that our
Okay.
lawyer looked at, but we can absolutely, I can reach back out to our attorney and say, can we have some clarification?
Yeah, just like as a last resort,
Sure.
if this happens by a trained person.
Yep.
And then it kind of
Yeah,
clarifies that.
absolutely.
It might be useful if, say, a parent or community member saw the policy, they'd
Sure,
understand
of
it
course.
better.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah, of course.
And thank you for laying all this out. It's so
Yeah,
important.
it is. It is
Yeah.
important, and I'm glad that we got some new guidance and some clear expectations for our staff, too. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
you're welcome. Any other questions I can answer?
I have one.
Yeah.
Do you know how many people we have trained?
Currently, we have 13.
Are there specific positions in the building that are,
Yep, special education teachers who would have students that may have some behavioral intervention plans, and also administrators and deans. Any- Great, thank you so much. I
you for your
appreciate it.
presentation. So when are we looking at second reading approval of this policy?
That will happen at the same time as the press plus one.
Okay, so it'll be in January? It will be. Okay, we got more time to think about it.
This isn't a policy, this is a procedure. Do I understand?
Says policy.
There is a policy. Megan, we did not have a policy in place for this prior to.
We have one currently, that's why ours is outdated, and our attorney wanted to combine them. It's two separate documents right now, a policy and a procedure, but ISB has advised put it under one as one full procedure with everything listed underneath it. Yep,
The board will be approving the
This
policy.
isn't policy, this isn't from press.
correct,
There's a policy somewhere that references this as a procedure.
correct.
But will this be in policies or in procedures?
This would be, I would imagine, under procedures.
Okay.
I will double check with our attorney, though, just to be sure that we're all
Okay.
clear on it, too.
And then referenced, like
Yep.
Rich said, in the press.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely. I'll double check that and get back to you guys.
Doesn't call it anywhere in there as a policy.
Okay,
Because it's-
yeah.
I mean, we always have the policies and the procedures. So this,
Yeah.
this doesn't necessarily have to be approved by the board either.
The procedural component does not, you're right, but the policy,
Policy does.
if there's adjustments to the policy in
Yep.
keeping up with current law,
Yep.
it does have
That's
to.
in,
That is not part of Press Plus 120. So this is a separate policy outside of Press Plus, because we're behind the ball on this and updating this policy in previous years.
So there is a policy component that we're approving that has this procedure tied to it?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, I will get you guys those answers. Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That brings us to Teaching, Learning, and Professional Development Report.
Good evening. As you have in front of you, I'm going to provide the monthly meeting report from the DEOS Board of Directors from November. First of all, I would like to just remind everyone that the slides I'm sharing with you were created by Assistant Principal Ryan West from the Technology Center of DuPage. This was, again, culminating data for the second semester of the 24-25 school year for all 14 of the school districts that send students to TCD. The goal for the presentation was to provide an update on student performance, also looking at the outcomes that they're working towards, engagement of students in terms of attendance and discipline as well. As a reminder, TCD serves 1,380 juniors and seniors, 31 high schools, 14 districts. And there are 17 programs that are offered there, including 14 of which that currently offer dual credit. And then I'll just briefly kind of go through the list for anyone who's watching the video. So there is auto body repair, which is one of the three that is currently not dual credit. However, they'll be working towards ASE certification for students in that program, which is one of the industry standards. Automotive technology, computer information systems and gaming, cosmetology, CNC manufacturing, criminal justice, emergency medical technician, EMT, fire science, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, which also includes refrigeration and residential wiring, intro to the medical professions, manufacturing, engineering, technology, and trade, which is the second that is not dual credit, med assisting, which also currently is not dual credit. They're working towards kind of re-envisioning that. Multimedia and television production, nurse assistant training, which would be CNA certification, professional cooking, baking services, robotics, automation, and engineering, and then finally welding. So one of the things that the data did include was looking at the demographics of the representation in the programming. So as you can see here, the disaggregated data illustrates that 37% of students attending TCD are Latino, 35% white, 12% of students are Black, and then 10% of students are bi or multiracial, as well as 4% of students who are Asian. And then also of note, excuse me, I might have skipped one too far. No, I'm in the right place. Looking at the enrollment in terms of students with individualized education plans, that is 22% of the student body, which in general would be higher than the average that you would see in most schools. Frequently, that's around 13%. 11% of students are multilingual learners, and then 8% have a 504 plan. A review of the grade data from second semester of last year demonstrates that 41% of students' grades were A's, 37 B, 16% were C's, and then 5% of students earned a D, where only 1% of students did not earn credit. Mr. West also noted that students with IEPs or 504s, as well as students who are multilingual learners, unfortunately did demonstrate a higher percentage of less successful performance there. And one of the comments that was made was the idea of really looking at this information. These groups have been identified and really looking to see student success being demonstrated in the data through the decision making. So I think They're really expanding the focus on student support, and as I've mentioned in the last few months, one component of that is the EL calling that they're doing in the evening now in Spanish that they're hoping will better communicate with parents as well. So here you can see then the breakdown of A's, B's, and C's, contrasting the gen ed performance with the other demographic groups. Also of note, there were 3 data points in regard to engagement that were shared with the board. I'll give you a moment with that slide. So here that you can see that the average attendance rate for TCD students was 88%. 59% of students attended 90% or greater of school days, and only 5% of students had a disciplinary incident, which is one of the things that they're very pleased with. Its students are, in general, very happy to be there, and that's not something that they're engaging in. The November meeting also included an update on the strategic planning process, which they're just beginning to engage in. That's being conducted by HYA. And then as of November 20th, HYA had completed 48 staff focus group meetings. Parent interviews will be conducted this month, as well as additional opportunities for parent feedback at their January open house. So other than that, that's the update that I have for November for you.
Good information, but I'm not quite sure I understand what we do with it.
Well, I think one of the things that's been helpful for us to look at is our own student enrollment, really looking at, Dr. Johansson and I were looking at the grade data just in general to see how that reflects for our own students. It's something that our kids are definitely really wanting to enroll in. We were able to, due to your funding, move from 100 to 125 slots for students to enroll. We probably have another 75 who would like to attend, students who did apply last year. So I do think one of the goals with this is kind of just show the work that is being done there. We're definitely making efforts to try and bring more of the elective programming into the building so that students wouldn't have to go to TCD and have so many periods out of the building. One of the things that Nick Kemsky and Scott Albright and I are working on is a CNA program that we're hoping to be able to bring more information to you about that would be able to run during the 27-28 program if everything was to fall into place. So I think it's kind of contrasting what can be offered there as well as the expansion that we're doing here, at this point, particularly in health sciences, and then maybe if we're very fortunate, looking at automotive as something that could be of great interest to our students, over the next few years.
Excuse me, we're in the very, very early stages of looking at, of analyzing the cost of TCD and to see if we can plan long-term to pull in some of these programs, whether it's through renovations to the building, to where we can get more engagement in autos, geometry construction, welding, some of those programs that are in high demand, high wage jobs. Currently, we spend about $6,000 per student. If you factor in transportation to send them to TCD, 125 kids, you're looking at around $750,000 to $800,000. If we were to, and they also have to give up half of their day to get there, whether it's the morning session or afternoon session. So if we can be creative and do some sort of cost analysis to say, hey, if we're able to bring it back in-house and renovations to to our building here or to the outbuilding, that garage there is going to cost X amount of dollars, but we can double the enrollment, it's going to save us money in the long term. That'll be something that I'll bring back to the board in the near future once we have that all fleshed out.
Cost of tuition at TCD independent of what they're...
It's fairly the same. There's not a
it's the
difference
same.
in the cost based on the program, so it's a
doesn't matter
flat.
what they're in.
Yep.
Any other questions? All right, thank you for that update. And that brings us to annual statement of affairs. Take it away, Dan Oberg.
Okay, pinch hitting for Dan Oberg here. School districts are required to complete the annual statement of affairs each year. The completed ASA is required to be published in the local newspaper and posted on the district's website by December 1st. Additionally, board policy notes that it should be presented to the Board of Education. The ISB made multiple changes to the 2025 ASA, including what needs to be published in the paper and also removing the required submission to ISB. The past ASA document duplicated many already required postings by school districts, such as annual financial report information and certified salaries. The annual statement of affairs provides the following information: the size of the district in square miles, number of attendance areas, tax rates by fund, number of full and part-time certified and non-certified staff, salaries of non-certified staff, payments more than $1,000, contracts over $25,000. The ASA has been completed and published as required by December 1st. It is attached to the agenda for your review.
Questions? All right. Cintas contract renewal, uniforms and laundry.
The district is currently in the middle of a 3-year contract with Cintas for uniform laundry services awarded through the competitive bid and approved by the Board of Education in April of '23. The district has been satisfied with both quality and consistency of service provided by Cintas. Cintas is an awarded vendor under the Omnia Purchasing Cooperative, which allows school districts to access pre-negotiated pricing without conducting a formal bid. Utilizing this cooperative contract, Cintas has offered the district a new 3-year agreement with improved pricing and greater service flexibility. So the proposed 3-year contract would begin December of '25 and run through December of '28. The district's current annual expense for uniform and laundry services is approximately $50,000. Under the Omnia cooperative contract, Cintas is offering a 10% discount along with service adjustments requested by the district. These adjustments include retaining all current services such as uniform rental, towel service, and PE service, removing unused services such as laundry service for custodial uniforms, allowing the district to pause services during the summer months, an option that was not available under the current contract. With these changes, the annual cost is expected to be closer to $40,000. Over the full 3-year term, the district would realize an estimated $30,000 in savings compared to continuing under the current structure. This cooperative purchasing contract provides cost savings, operational flexibility, and continued service from a proven vendor, while also eliminating the need for formal bidding process. The recommendation would be at the December 16th Board of Education meeting. Dan will be recommending approval of the new 3-year contract with Cintas under the Omnia Purchasing Cooperative.
That sounds really good.
Good negotiations on
Yeah.
Dan's part, huh? Save
Deal.
us money.
Yeah,
deal.
I love it. Thank you.
All right. Questions on the 2025 tax levy? Do you have any questions on the 2025 tax levy? All right. Now that gets us to the fun part. Press Plus Issue 120 Policies, first reading.
The novel here. Okay. Board of Education Policy 2:240 guides the process for reviewing current board policies and updating them as necessary and conducting a first and second reading of policies for the Board of Education's consideration. The superintendent is responsible for managing this process. The Illinois Association of School Boards Press Plus Policy Service has distributed Issue 120 policy recommendations. Our district leadership team has reviewed the recommendations and have summarized our suggestions on the summary sheet. After receiving feedback on these recommendations, I'll place this on the agenda for the second reading and approval for the January 20th, 2026 regular Board of Education meeting. There's a typo in that memo. So the recommendation is to review the Press Plus Issue 120 and share feedback prior to the January 20th, 2026 regular Board of Education meeting.
Anybody have any thoughts or comments so far on the items listed under number 6 on the agenda?
Some good, healthy reading over the holidays.
Just a little bit. All right, that brings us to draft update rewritten policy 7:150, agency and law enforcement requests. Any questions or comments on that one?
Were you on-
7:150.
Nope, that's under Press Plus. That's just the
Continuation
rewritten,
of
that's a continuation.
Oh, it's a separate agenda item for tonight.
It is?
Yes.
Draft
It's
update.
under item 7,
It's,
and then there's another one under item 8.
Oh, I see, even though it
Agenda.
is kind of all together. Well,
Item
no,
6 on the agenda has a whole bunch, and then there's an item 7 and an item
item
8.
7, I've got draft school calendar.
yeah.
Oh, that's all part of Press Plus 120.
Okay, that was posted separately then. All right.
Okay.
All right, so no comments or questions at this point on any of the policies. All right, that brings us to draft school calendar.
Board Policy 6:20 states the Board of Education, upon the superintendent's recommendation and subject to state regulations, annually establishes the dates for opening and closing classes, teacher institutes, and in-service, the length and dates of vacations, and the days designated as legal school holidays. The school calendar shall have a minimum of 185 days to ensure 176 days of actual student attendance. Attached, attached, please find the recommended calendar for the 26-27 school year. This calendar is a product of the collaboration between the administration, faculty, and staff through our newly formed calendar committee and aligns with ISB requirements. Once approved by the board, the calendar will then be submitted through the iWS portal for ISB approval. Noted in the proposed calendar are the 185 total school year calendar days. 176 of these days are student attendance days, 4 are teacher institute days, 5 are identified as emergency days. Furthermore, late start Mondays will continue and have been designated as school improvement program days. Detailed information can be found on the attached calendar. My recommendation will be that the board review the proposed 26-27 calendar, provide feedback prior to taking action during the December 16th regular Board of Education meeting. Just draw your attention to November. That would probably be the biggest change. It is the biggest change of note. The week of Thanksgiving, the students would not be in attendance. That Monday, the 23rd, would be a teacher institute day. So the students would have the whole week off. Teachers would have to come in for an institute day on the 23rd. So I'd like to get into a rhythm of doing this 2 years out, but since we made a change, I want to see how this flows. And then we'll reconvene with the committee November, probably December of next year, to see how that institute day worked out for the week of November. And then working with the teachers and the support staff, see, hey, it was good. You want to stay with it, or should we go back to the way it was? Once we can get that established, then we'll look for 2 years out.
So doing 2 years of calendars, is that what you're suggesting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a question because I remember talking about this, Rich, not this past support staff negotiations, the previous one. We were talking about Columbus Day, and I thought it was an agreement everywhere that we were calling it Indigenous Peoples' Day.
It should be changed to that.
It
We can
should
make
be
that
changed
change.
to that.
Mhm.
So I don't know if this was an oversight, because I didn't go back and look at previous calendars, but,
It was listed as Columbus Day this year
Oh,
and the
okay.
previous year, but you're right, it should be changed.
okay.
We'll
Thank
make
you.
that change. Thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you.
Any other calendar comments or questions? All right. Business for open session, we will be going into closed session. There will not be any action taken after closed session. The recommended motion of the Board of Education go into closed session at 7:28 PM for the purpose of collective negotiating matters.
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Casey Mayer,
Aye.
Mr. Nagel,
Aye.
Ms. Doremus,
Aye.
Ms. Chavez. Aye. Ms. Murphy,
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye. All right, we're going into closed session. Why don't we take 5?